When you translate omnipotence into hard mathematical values, you create a paradox. Assigning a health bar to a deity provides a literal target for players to aim for, which changes the god's role from an object of worship into a challenge to be overcome. Before 1980, religion in advanced Dungeons & Dragons was largely undefined. Clerics functioned as mechanical healing conduits with little narrative weight. Dungeon masters either ignored the gods entirely or treated them as overpowered servants who appeared at the slightest whim to rescue players from their own mistakes. Operating out of Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, game creators Gary Gygax and James M. Ward sought to end this inconsistency. They wanted a system where divine intervention was governed by strict, measurable rules. Their solution arrived with the 1980 publication of Deities and Demigods. As the fourth major hardcover reference for the advanced game, it was designed to establish a concrete, overarching hierarchy for the entire fictional universe. To make this work, Ward researched ancient mythologies and translated them into the numerical parameters of a tabletop wargaming system. He assigned precise values to figures like Zeus and Odin, bringing the infinite into the realm of the finite. By attempting to make religion matter, the designers made it measurable. This placed the heads of pantheons on the same mechanical trajectory as the monsters detailed in previous manuals. Standard player ability scores traditionally stopped at 18. To represent divine capability, developers expanded the math, with scores climbing to 25. Gary Gygax then enforced a strict limit, capping the most powerful greater gods at exactly 400 hit points. Mortals only ever encountered physical avatars. A deity could be killed on the battlefield, while their true essence remained completely safe on another plane. This rigid scaling created immediate friction, because the game relied on linear percentile dice tables. A cosmic horror with maximum physical strength still faced a 10% chance of failing to open a stuck wooden dungeon door. Translating ancient mythologies into numerical rules stripped away the divine mystery, presenting objects of worship as targets with specific, defeatable statistics. Outside the game, Ward's research sparked real-world legal trouble. He included the Cthulhu mythos in the first printing, assuming written permission from Arkham House was sufficient to include H.P. Lovecraft's brand of cosmic horror. However, a rival publisher named Chaosium had already acquired the exclusive tabletop role-playing rights to those same properties. When the book hit shelves, TSR was met with a cease and desist letter claiming copyright infringement. A corporate compromise was brokered. Chaosium received the right to use the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons trademark on their own books to signal mechanical compatibility. In exchange, TSR kept the contested mythoi in their first and second printings, provided they added a credit thanking Chaosium. Before the third printing, TSR executives opted to permanently remove those 16 pages. The move lowered printing expenses and removed references to a competitor. This left the volume permanently truncated, despite the author's strong objections. The book underwent a final transformation in 1984. Amid the satanic panic, executives grew concerned that a book detailing deities and demons was a liability. To avoid public backlash, they updated the cover and rebranded the work as Legends and Lore. The legacy of legal injunctions and cultural paranoia surrounding the book mirrored the exploitable rules written on its pages. Back at the game table, high-level players engaged in destructive testing. They realized that if a being is assigned armor class and hit points, that god can be killed. This triggered the Monty Hall era of gameplay. Campaigns shifted into power fantasies, where players traveled the planes to assassinate pantheons and steal artifacts like Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, to further break the game's mathematical limits. The role-playing community reacted with harsh criticism. Reviewers argued that by emphasizing attack routines and experience points over theology, the book had reduced supreme beings to high-powered monsters. TSR eventually reversed course. In the game's second edition, they removed god-level combat stats entirely. Instead, they focused on the cultural impact of religions and the specific powers granted to their mortal priesthoods. Providing a mathematical ceiling for omnipotence didn't inspire player reverence. It simply provided a new high score for adventurers to beat. While the real-world pantheons were critiqued for their inaccuracies, the book's most enduring contribution was the Non-Humans Deities chapter. This section filled a theological vacuum by creating original creator gods and adversarial patrons for every major fantasy race, from dwarves to goblins. It introduced Corellin for elves, Gruumsh for the orcs, and Lolf for the drow. The rivalries established between these deities provided the mythological foundation for decades of Dungeons & Dragons settings. While a spreadsheet proved to be a poor vessel for the divine, the specific racial hierarchies and theological wars established in these pages remained the core lore for the game for the next 40 years.